There has never been a moment where it was more necessary for those people who are on the side of life to draw a line in the sand. We could sit here and talk about government shutdowns, 6 ways to Sunday, and the risks that they carry, but forget about that for a minute. Forget about the optics. Forget about the votes even. I mean, forget about everything except for the fact that the United States government is paying with your money, with my money, our money, for the atrocities which you just witnessed. We are subsidizing it to the tune of hundreds of millions. That's not an exaggeration. Literally chopping up babies. And there's no way to be over dramatic about this, folks. And there's very little distinction between the doctors casually discussing the severed arms and legs of babies and the kind of things you would have overheard in a discussion between Joseph Mengele and Adolf Eichmann. Yes, I just invoked Godwin's law. If ever there was a time to invoke Godwin's law, this is it. Yes, the Nazi comparison. And that's absolutely it. Babies are being murdered and they're being sold as scrap. And if we can't reference the atrocities of history to highlight the line in the sand, then we may as well stop pretending that we're different. We may as well stop pretending that we ever learn anything from history at all. Senator Mark Kirk drew his own line in the sand this week. He voted no on the procedural vote, which would have led to sending a defund Planned Parenthood bill to the office of the president. He refused to advance it. Mark Kirk is the worst kind of Republican. He's not even a Republican. In fact, I view him every bit as monstrous as the people holding the tweezers and picking apart the limbs. He might as well be in the office right there with them, as far as I'm concerned. A Republican in name only. That seems a generous term. But yeah, it is worse than that. He aligned himself with death. He's chosen votes and optics over human life. He can come on my show if he's feeling brave enough to explain his vote, but somehow I doubt his office is going to be answering our phone calls. Another person that needs to answer for themselves, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham. He missed the vote entirely. Now, what in the world kind of excuse can a man claiming that he wants to be the president of the United States, what excuse does he have when it comes to missing something this important? Something that isn't an issue that only the base cares about. This isn't an issue that only a fringe portion of the party cares about. This goes to the very core of the Republican Party platform, a platform that's supposed to be rooted in constitutional conservatism. And Lindsey Graham missed the vote. Do you know why he missed the vote? Because he wanted to go to that presidential forum that was on C-SPAN last night. And he wanted to go and shake hands, and he had a job to do first. He had a promise that he made to his constituents first. But he decided to forego that. He decided to forego fighting for life, and he decided to show up at that C-SPAN Voter First event and meet and greet, get some camera time, get under the lights, get on stage and talk about how he wants to run for president. He couldn't show up for those who needed him. He couldn't show up for those who are dying a taxpayer-subsidized death. Why should voters show up for him? Now, again, I look forward to Mr. Graham coming on the program to explain himself. And while we're scolding people, let's applaud credit where it's due. Democrats, Joe Donnelly of Indiana and Joe Manchin of West Virginia. They voted to defund Planned Parenthood. Kudos. You defied your party in the name of life. Technically, Mitch McConnell voted against this as well, but it was only because you have to vote against it in order to bring it back to the floor. He only did that to ensure that he could bring this legislation back for a revote. So that explains it, and that's the only, normally I don't like to give him credit. Republicans, listen up. You have to get this right. This, by the way, is an issue I'm willing to die on. I'm willing to completely abandon the party if this is an issue they don't fight on.